So like Dad Anthony said, this is going to be the chapter operations portion of the training. So we're going to call it chapter operations, or how I learned to stop worrying and love DMLA. So we will go on to the first slide. So everyone is familiar with the state operations. We have the youth structure, we have our state master counselor, we have elected state officers, we have DMCs, chapter master counselors, then our active DMLAs. The youth structure is really the reason that we're here and the reason that we do what we do. The adult structure, we have the executive officer, his executive staff, we have personal reps, program directors, and then local advisors. The goal is to provide a very exciting and dynamic DMLA experience for everyone involved, not just our youth, but also our advisors. We know that you guys and ladies are the ones that, you know, get the young men to where they need to be, get the meetings and things like that. So this structure is important to support the young men and what they are trying to do. Anthony, you want to go through the advisory council structure?
Yes, and so Jody hit on this on the last session, kind of at a high level. This is going to get into more detail. So obviously, chairman leads the advisory council. He assigns duties to the rest of the council. You know, awards advisor, scribe advisor, ritual advisor, membership advisor, etc. And the liaison between the chapter and the sponsoring body, which is why they have to be a master mason. And we'll go into more into detail in the next few slides. Chapter advisor is the one responsible for the day-to-day operation. So they're the ones that are in contact with the youth leaders, the master counselor, etc. You know, hey, where are we at? You know, the term plan says next week we're doing this. You know, where's that in development? Where is, you know, your membership plan? All those things, the day-to-day operations to make sure the chapter is running efficiently. And he's, or not he, but they are the liaison between the active DMLAs and the advisory council. And then the other advisors work on whatever programs are assigned to them, you know, membership, ritual, awards, etc. Next slide, Mike. So chairman is responsible for the administration of the chapter, the annual report, all the paperwork, advisory renewals, honor nominations, all the legalities, the financial disclosure, all that falls on the chairman. And I know this isn't anything new to anybody, you know, you obviously know, but we just want to refresh and make sure that everybody understands. Now, the chairman doesn't have to do all this by himself. He can assign, you know, if your advisory council has a secretary or something like that, the chairman can assign duties to whoever he wants to make sure that this gets done. But ultimately, it's the chairman's responsibility to make sure all this gets done. Next slide, Mike. All right, so this is the annual report. So it's found in eScribe, and the chairman and the chapter advisor have administrative privileges in eScribe, meaning that they can access all this. A normal advisor can't. So if there is a normal advisor, you know, the secretary of the council that is going to be helping with this, just get with Dad Jody and he can give them permissions in eScribe to see certain things. But by default, per DI, the chairman and chapter advisor have access to this. So you go to registration, annual chapter report, and that will bring up the annual report. So on Mike, obviously he can see everybody's, but for whichever chapter you're in, it'll be your chapter. So if you're Jack Fleming chapter, it'll show Jack Fleming, and then you click the view edit. And was that it, Mike?
That was it. Yeah, I didn't want to go into any of the reports, but it's all the information that you need to report to DI.
Yeah. And it also gives you an opportunity to, you know, update some information in there. If you've changed your meeting nights, if you've changed the time you meet, where you meet, all that stuff, all that can be updated in the chapter, in the annual report. Some other items in there are, they always ask for scholarships and service hours and stuff like that. That's important because DMLA International uses those figures to promote DMLA. You know, so DMLAs this year in 2021 earned X amount of dollars in scholarships or served, you know, X amount of hours for community service. And they use those as membership tools when they're talking to schools or other organizations about how Dean Lake can benefit youth, basically. So it's important to make sure that you are hitting those in the annual report. It also asks for the financial information, your bylaws, all those things that you should have as a chapter. And if you have any questions about an annual report, myself, Dad Mike, Dad Jody, we're always available. I do the one for Bahia, so I'm very familiar with the annual report and the layout of it.
Another point we wanted to hit too is I think you should let the members of your chapter know that you are doing this and what it is. They necessarily don't have to be involved in actually filling it out, but I think they should be aware that, this report is available, it's required, and it's something that you'll be working on. Just a basic understanding of their chapter and how, some of the behind the scenes stuff that goes on. I think it's important to let the young men know that at least it's out there and that it's being done. So
on that point, real quick, Mike, your chapter counselor should be attending advisory council meetings.
Correct.
And so they should be aware of the administrative side of it. Like Mike said, they shouldn't be too much involved with this. They should at least be aware that these things exist and how a chapter operates. So if you're having your counselors at your advisory council meeting, they should be able to pick up on this. But we recently had a certain state officer that didn't know that there was an annual report. He didn't know it existed because it was just something that he'd never been exposed to. So
right. And we understand, you get busy, you get this, and everything's going on, but it's just one of the things I think that they at least need to know is out there and is going on. So, all righty. Any questions on the annual report? I can't see. So if you have a chat, I think Dad Anthony can see that probably better than I can.
Yeah, I can see it.
So we will move on to the next slide. So,
yeah. All right.
Appointment of advisors. It's the chairman's duty to appoint advisors to handle the various programs of the chapters. So whether you have squires, if you have a sweetheart, membership, ritual, athletics, fundraising, whatever that is, ask the advisors what they would like to work on, what they would like to work with. Ideally we would have, 15 advisors in your chapter and each one would have their own responsibility. And we know that's not always the case or even feasible. So advisors can do multiple roles. So you could have a ritual advisor that also takes care of awards and things like that. Your membership advisor could also be the athletics advisor. So they can double up on roles. Just make sure that those are all being covered and handled by someone at some point. The squires advisor does have to be dedicated to squires alone. So your chapter chairman cannot also be the squires advisor. So the squires advisor. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Advisor.
Yeah, or your chapter advisor. Other advisors can double up and do it, but we need someone dedicated to the squires, just for the nature of their age and the importance of what we're trying to teach them and everything. We feel that's important.
Yeah.
Your sweetheart advisor preferably should be a lady of obviously chaperone age, but it's not necessary. But
25.
yeah, and chaperone age is 25. So the sweetheart advisor should be at least that age to handle your chapter sweetheart in the event that you have one.
Yeah. And then membership is required by Dean Lake International to appoint. So there should be a dedicated advisor for the membership program, and then ritual, awards, etc. It's up to the chairman basically to provide the cohesiveness for the advisory council. So the chairman should be identifying strengths and weaknesses and assigning duties, as appropriate. But really, it's his job to make sure the advisory council meshes.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So chapter advisor, and this could be male, female, just any registered advisor can now be chapter advisor. And like we said before, they're responsible for the day-to-day operations of the chapter. So making sure that there is a term plan, the term plan is being executed, making sure that everything's flowing appropriately, making sure chapter meetings are well executed. At Bahia, we use we have an agenda that I get with the master counselor before the meeting, a couple of days before. We come up with an agenda of what needs to be talked about, and we have a printed agenda that we disseminate to the members, on meeting night, so they can see exactly what we're talking about that night. They have something in writing showing what's going on, in the near future here. So chapter meetings need to be well executed. They attend advisory council meetings, and they, promote, or not promote, but they basically advise the advisory council of, what the chapter is doing. Not all chapters, or not all advisors attend meetings all the time, but that's their primary role. Form 10s, which we'll get into a little bit later, awards, merit bars, and membership. So that all falls kind of under the umbrella of the chapter advisor. And then Form 10. So same thing, you go to registration, and again, as chairman and chapter advisor that have this permission. So registration, youth registration. And then you will create a new registration package. And then it's the same for DMLAs and Squires. Yep, so Squire DMLA, you have all the options here for registering. One thing that I will mention on here is when it says first, middle name, and last name, that it has a preferred name, we need their legal name. So, if their name is Stone, or their name is Commodore and they go by Stone Perry as an example, we need Commodore Stone Perry, preferred name Stone. So whatever their actual legal name is, we need that. And that's not just, for, our records, we need it for legal reasons as well. If we don't want, hold on, we need their legal name in case there is an event or something happens at conclave, kid breaks his leg, his parents aren't there, we take him to the hospital, his name's Stone or whatever. Well, that's not what his legal name is. That's what they can't put on the admission forms, his insurance, it creates the whole thing. So we need to know their legal name. Deal International also wants to know it in case, this person goes and becomes famous one day, and his nickname when he was 14 may not be his name that he goes by when he's 30 or whatever. We have incomplete records. So that is important that you get their full name, as well as their address, their email address, their parents' information, which you should have all that when you do the investigation and visit their house and all that. But if you don't know their address, you need to get it. It's not acceptable to submit a Form 10 and not have all that information. And I've seen chapters and advisors just put their address or the address where the lodge is where they meet. We can't have that. We need their actual contact information, again, for legal reasons and youth protection and things like that. So Mike, you want to add anything to that?
No, that's perfect. That's everything that we had discussed to have on there. Okay.
But the Form 10 is very simple to fill out. Just briefly, other forms that the chapter advisor should be following up on and making sure that the chapter has on file. A medical release form, that's done yearly. Usually most chapters do that right before they leave for conclave, so they have fresh ones for conclave. Photo release and the media release, usually you should get those when they submit a petition. Photo release is for all participants, and then the media is for anybody under 21. Medical dosage, same thing with the medical release. Usually, those are done at the same time once a year. And then the certificate of election, that's every term. And that's when elections are held, not necessarily when your installation is. But once your elections are done and you know who your officers are for the next term, submit that so that, Florida DMLA knows who your officers are. And that helps us with planning and things like that. And all these forms can be found at fldmla.org under the advisor tab.
I'm just quick on the medication dosage. If you have one of those forms, if you have a young man who, does take medication, whether it's asthma or a regular type medication, if you could bring that whenever you go somewhere and maybe give it to another advisor, an example would be Conclave or Escape to Florida, give it to someone else. In the event you're not around and the young man needs something, we can have quick access to what exactly needs to, what he needs in that situation. So it's good to keep those with you and give them out to other people at, bigger events maybe. So just kind of keep that in mind as well.
What some chapters do is they have like a chapter Google Drive, and they have all these forms. They get them, they scan them into the drive, and then they just email the link to the advisory council. So if something does happen, everybody can access that information. So that's something to think about.
Yeah. All right.
Hey guys, can I add something real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
With regard to the forms, the medical release form and the media release form, medication dosage, all that stuff, I recommend that it be done at the beginning of the year, because that is generally when open enrollment starts, as far as like the new insurance policies and that kind of thing. That way you're not waiting until you're getting ready for conclave to get the new insurance update. Insurance usually, unless there's a change in life or something like that, takes effect on January 1. So if you can get that done in the first part of the year, it would save you a lot. And I want to echo what Anthony said about the Google Drive. It's really a good idea to keep it, because that way you've got something and you can share the drive with your other advisors and really, with anybody. You can share it with Mama Tina for conclave or Chris for escape or any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right. Awards, just briefly, again, as chapter advisor should be making sure the awards get done. If you have a specific advisor for that, fine. But we should be giving awards as soon as they earn them. So merit bars, your BHK, that really helps, I think, with the youth to recognize them as soon as possible. If they earn some merit bars or let's say they get their BHK 2 weeks after your installation, now they're waiting another 6 months before the next installation to get it. I think it really helps if you present it. We have a new chapter or a new member at Bahia that he recently, I just gave him his DMLA card. He's a new member, his patent and his card, and just getting his patent and his card, he was excited about it. Like he put it, he talked about it the rest of the night, how he thought it was cool and, it was really exciting to him. So he's about to get back his second proficiency. Once he does, I'm going to give it his merit bar, header, and drop. And just the experience that he had and what he felt, I think really, really helps keep them invested. Whereas if you're waiting 5-6 months to award some of these things, they kind of lose interest. So, and at the installation, if they got their BHK and you already presented, you can hit on it at the installation. Hey, this term so-and-so earned these awards, congratulations. He's proudly wearing them tonight, et cetera, et cetera. But I think it's just really important to, as soon as that they're, eligible for that, they've received it, go ahead and present it. I think it really, really helps.
I said, that's a good point, Anthony. That's something I always did as a chapter advisor. We don't, other than the proficiency card, if you actually use them, we don't do anything when they pass their proficiencies. I always made their merit bar, head, and drop their proficiency presentation, and in the event they had earned any merit bars, already, I didn't wait till the installation, when they got the head and drop, they got the bars in it, so they didn't have a naked chest anymore.
Right.
Yeah, Dale, just to give you a little bit of insight as well, we do have approved in the jurisdiction of Florida, we have the red ribbon member medallion, which is a recognition for completing the proficiency. That's one thing that's authorized in the state SOP.
Well, that's all well and good, but I go back to the days when long before, and I manufactured my own awards when I needed them to recognize important things DMLAs did, and to try to do it as immediately as possible. And like I said, the head and the drop by themselves don't necessarily mean anything, but I made it mean I've passed my proficiency, and when one guy's got it and 3 others don't, suddenly they get real interested in doing their proficiency.
Well, and especially for like the younger guys, older guys, not, they really probably couldn't care less about the merit bars, but especially for the younger guys, I think it really does help keep them a little bit invested. So
I always looked at it as kind of a pyramid thing. I mean, when you get up high on the pyramid and you've got a Chevalier or a Representative DeMolay or a Blue Honor Key, you're no longer, all that big on the merit bars. But I know I collected every one I earned until I turned 21, and I've still got them. I just didn't go around wearing them all the time.
Yep.
If I can just pass along, since I'm the RD and the PMC MSA designate, we are pretty much dead in the water on both programs. I don't have anybody submitting for either one from any of the chapters for some time. I have one or two that were submitted that were only, like on the RD, they were only missing one item, which they could have sent in by return mail. And I let the chapter advisor know what the problem was. I've seen no action on them whatsoever. I mean, I never throw any of them out. If they ever respond, they'll get their RDs. But I require that they do the required work.
Right.
If you send me a list of that, Dale, I can send it to the personal reps and have them follow up.
I'll dig it out of my other computer, and let you know what's going on there. But on the PMC MSAs and so forth, it's been very, very quiet ever since I took this back over. I was delighted when we recently granted a couple, but I don't see many people trying for it. And we all know they'll have a better term if they try, whether they get it or not. And we need to emphasize that to them. If you make the effort, you'll have a better term as master counselor than if you just wander around in circles through your term.
Right. And I believe, Jody, that's part of the Florida DeMolay SOP that every chapter has to follow the MSA, correct? Even if you're not submitting for it,
that is correct.
You have to plan according to that program. And that's where the PRs come in, where the personal rep should be in contact with the chapters and make sure that that's something that they're adhering to.
No, you're absolutely right. Whenever a chapter is making their plans for the term, they should use the MSA as a guide. And as you indicated, they don't necessarily have to go for the MSA. They don't necessarily have to, whatever, but that is a good, well-rounded term. And, if they go for it, it's also in the SOP that all the master counselors are assumed to be going for it, because that's, they're going to meet the qualifications going into the term. Excuse me. The only thing that they would have to do afterwards would be to write the recap letter, which saves them a step. And if they write the recap letter and get it done in a timely manner, then Dad Dietzman can have some motion with what he's trying to do.
And Dad, Jody, you know very well that I'm in the business of granting awards, not in refusing them. So if there's special circumstances in any chapter and people let me know what the situation is, I can be flexible enough to work with that. I see Dad Jody is eating dinner. I just want him to know, I'm late arriving because tonight was our 49th wedding anniversary, and I ran late with my takeout dinner with my wife.
Well, happy anniversary. Yes. We are also having takeout because we had to plan around this.
Well, congratulations, everyone.
Please give our best to Mom Jane.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I will.
Anything else on awards or any other questions?
I have
All
one
right.
more thing to add, Mike,
Yes.
and that's the fact that the membership awards, the merit bars for 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15, as well as the Blue Honor Key and the Founders Membership Award, they will come automatically from DMLA International with a card from either the staff or from the International Master Counselor. So, you know, they try to make a bigger deal of it at DMLA International, but you don't necessarily need to keep a stock at the chapter of these awards because they will be presented automatically and mailed to the chapter, mailed to person.
Right. All right. Next slide,
Perfect.
Mike.
All right, next slide.
All right. So chapter meetings. This is kind of a pet peeve of mine as well. So stated meetings should not take more than an hour. We all know planning isn't done in the meeting. Meeting is where you vote, approve, move forward with plans, but the planning shouldn't be done in the actual meeting. This is where your committee reports come in, event planning, that all that should be done before the meeting. You come into the meeting and you approve it, vote on it, you know, vote for your budget, you know, whatever, receipts, all that. One other thing I want to touch on here too is your meeting minutes should be a reflection of what was discussed in the meeting and in detail. And most people don't think about it this way, but your meeting minutes, they could become legal documents. So for instance, you have a car wash, you know, it's from 12 to 3 at the, you know, Chick-fil-A. All the boys come, you have a great car wash, everybody leaves. A couple hours later, one of the boys gets into a car accident, and you know, DMLA gets drug into it because he tells whoever, you know, oh, you know, it was after a DMLA event, I was on my way home or whatever. And now, you know, we're in there, you know, because he was leaving a DMLA event. Well, if you have minutes that show, you know, all right, yeah, the car wash is from 12 to 3, and you have eyewitness reports and, you know, advisors that say, yeah, at 3 o'clock, we wrapped everything up. You know, John left the car wash and he told us he was going home. You know, 2 hours that have passed, you know, that's not our responsibility at that point. So just make sure that there are details, you know, who's going, where's it at, times, what's going on, just so that you can establish a timeline should you, you know, God forbid you need to in the future. But just to say, you know, hey, we discussed the upcoming car wash. That's not, you know, that's not up to par, I think. So just make sure that they're detailed, and you know, if you do need to, you know, cover yourselves, you need, you know, we have the means. You know, we talk about youth protection, which we will in a little bit here, but that youth protection is protecting the youth and also protecting ourselves should something happen as well. As volunteers with an organization that deals with youth, you know, we could be personally liable should something happen. So that's why youth protection is important, as well as having details and things like that in your meeting minutes. And then ritual. You know, if you open and close efficiently, that's going to save time. Opening and closing should be the easiest thing that these guys ever do. You know, you do it at least once a month, twice a month. You have practices doing it, you know, so make sure that the ritual, which, and again, nobody doesn't know this, but, you know, efficient meetings will keep members coming back. And it's the same thing with Lodge. When, you know, when you show up to Lodge and the meeting lasts an hour and a half and you didn't really talk about anything of substance and the ritual wasn't good, and, you know, it leaves you with a taste of not wanting to come back. Whereas, you know, you come to the meeting, you open efficiently, quick meeting, you close, everybody goes out for ice cream, or you know, play some board games after the meeting or whatever. That's going to keep people coming back to the chapter. Anything to add?
No, nothing to add. Any questions from the group? All right, we will continue to move on. So another important part of chapter operations are your events, the events that you hold, whether it's an installation, it's a car wash, it's a cleaning event, it's a whatever. All of our events should be outstanding. They should be of the highest quality. It should be a premier. DMLA International refers to our order as the premier youth organization, and we should reflect that in everything that we do. from our planning to our execution, to how we treat our members, how we treat our advisors, how we treat our supporters, everything. Everyone should have a feeling that they're involved with the premier, the upper level of everything. So when you plan an event, go ahead, plan the event, then step back from it, look at it with fresh eyes and answer this question. Is this something I would want to attend? Having no idea of what DMLA is or whatever, would this impress me about DMLA and what we're trying to do? If the answer is yes, great, move forward. If it's not, don't beat yourself up over it. Take, see what you can do to add that little extra to that event to make it a premier, impressive event for the people who you're trying to impress and get involved with the chapter. So it's not only the new members that we need to impress, we need to keep impressing our old members, like Anthony said, with good meetings, great events, so they keep coming back and are involved and really feel good about the order that they belong to in their chapter. The most important thing I think we can do is make our installations the most premier. That's our best foot forward. That's our public is in attendance. We have our sponsoring body in attendance. And for some people at the installation, it's their first and only exposure to DMLA.
Mhm.
So, we tell these parents, hey, your son's joining the premier youth organization and he's going to learn leadership and learn how to do things. And when we get to the installation and people are running around and no one knows their parts and the young men don't know what to say and don't know what to do. And, it doesn't match with what we're trying to project. So just take that little bit of time. We have all the resources out there to plan your installation, to make it great. So just take it seriously and just remember that, hey, we need to impress the people that are coming through that door.
Yeah, Mike, can I add something real quick?
Sure.
I got to stress that at this point, I know we're talking to the advisors and everything, but the youth have to be the ones doing the planning. I mean, it is very, very easy for us as advisors to tell the youth, okay, sit back, I got this. I find myself doing it too. And that is not what this organization is about. It's about getting them to take the necessary steps, them to follow the resources, them to, whatever. We are there to advise. We're there to aid and offer our assistance as needed, what have you, certain things that the youth can't do. But there's a lot of stuff that the youth can do. And I think it's important at this juncture that we're talking about this and we're talking about making, the premier events and all that kind of thing, help them make it premier. Get them prepared, make sure that they're the ones making the decision, because ultimately it is their installation, not ours. And so if they're not happy with it when the thing ends, it falls on us.
Yeah. Dad Chris Danner at Escape, he made the comment about, whenever you do something, just add that little bit extra. And, he made the comment that, that's what's missing from DMLA in the past several decades, is that little bit extra. And I know some of us and some of you have been advisors for a long, long time. Some of you have been advisors longer than I've been alive. I won't name names, but
thank you, Anthony.
No names are named.
I'll name them.
But it becomes even for me sometimes. I've been an advisor for I don't know 10 years or something at this point. I don't even remember. But it becomes easy to just roll in and do the same thing you always do. You roll in 10 minutes before the meeting, you turn on the lights, you turn on the AC, whatever. Even for an installation, we've been to installations where installation starts at 6:30. You show up to the lodge at 6 and nobody's even there yet. And everybody the whole chapter dad, everybody rolls in at 6:15, turns on the lights, and everything everything just happens. But like Mike said, if you're a parent of a new member, what kind of
it's an
impression
advice.
that set? And especially with some of our lodges, it's easy to just roll in, turn on the lights, and the lodge is cluttered or it needs to be swept up, and oh well, this is just the lodge, this is how it always looks, and again, take a step back, like Mike said, take a step back and say, is this something I would want to attend? Is this a quality event? So
Yeah, and to Dad Jody's point on that, let's challenge the young men.
Yeah.
Every installation, you should have some similar things, obviously, the installation and that, but each master counselor is unique. Each master counselor's special in his own way, and he can make the installation. Each one can be different and exciting and interesting for him. So just keep that in mind. I know we mentioned this at the advisors presentation we did at Conclave, but leadership is taught.
Mhm.
So to Dad Jody's point, we have to teach these young men how to be leaders.
Yeah.
And you set the example, we help them with it, we assist them with the planning, but ultimately it's their decision on what they want to do and how they want to make it look. So
But just try to avoid getting into that rut or that complacency. And that's
Right.
why, Dean International, they recommend, you switching in chapter advisors every 3 to 5 years, just so that you don't fall into that complacency, that there's new energy and new ideas coming through. So, so membership, and this actually ties back to, all of our events should be premier. Every event is a prospect event. Your car wash, your day of comfort, your cleanup of the park, everything you do is a prospect event. And if you make things quality, people will notice and people will want to be a part of it. I use the example of at Bahia, we had a member named John Michael that he came in kind of when I was majority now within a couple of years there. And the chapter was kind of on a downturn. John Michael had no Masonic family, no friends in DeMolay, nothing. The chapter was selling popcorn at the Shrine Circus, and we had on our Bahia shirts and we were selling popcorn. And all John Michael wanted to do was sell popcorn. He came up to one of our DeMolays and said, hey, I want to sell popcorn. How do I do that? They said, well, you join DeMolay and that's how you get it. So he joined DeMolay because he wanted to sell popcorn because he thought it was fun. And, the chapter, we had our shirts on and he wanted to be a part of that. And John Michael, he ended up bringing in like 11 members over 6 years. And that's, Bahia chapter was on a huge upturn because of, we sold popcorn, we made some money, and we got a petition out of it. So everything you do is a prospect event, whether same thing with the car wash, whether you think it or not, put the little bit extra in, make the event and make your operations premier that we claim to be, and the rest will come. And it is hard work. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's not hard work. It is. And it can be sometimes, but it's very rewarding. And the results will come if you put in the work. Mike, do you want to hit this?
Yeah, and another thing, probably the best thing that we can tell our members, I know a lot of the members are like, I don't know what to say, and they'll start with DeMolay and we have these meetings and everything. I think what we need to teach our members is to not necessarily talk about DeMolay initially with their friends. Invite them to, hey, some friends of mine are going bowling. Do you want to come along? Or we'd love to have you join us. And then once they're there, then you can kind of introduce them to DeMolay. They can see that there are members there and the advisors can help them talk about it. So don't let them feel like that it's solely their responsibility. And if they don't know how to do it, then, we're never going to get it done. So if they can just get the members there, and if we have that premier event and we have this, feeling of welcomeness and helping the members talk to their prospective members, it should sell itself. That's really the important thing. So don't feel like that, the young men need to bring in the prospects, but we can help them talk about DeMolay to their friends and everything, so they can get them involved. Another thing you can do is just hold an open house. You have stations with photos, information, snacks. Go into the lodge room, do a ceremony, impress them, or hold a video game tournament, something at the lodge to pique their interest and make them make the connection between DeMolay and the fun. I don't want to put Dad Wormington on the spot, but I know you guys are doing really well. And I know that your members are holding certain events. So if you want to just take a minute and talk about that, that'd be great.
About our events and how we're trying to do our membership.
Yes.
Well, we've kind of, this term has been a little different with the new leadership. So over the last year, like I said, every event is a membership recruiting event. So again, it's bring your friends, bring your friends' friends, come get involved. Basically, we wear our shirts everywhere we possibly can. We use anything we can to start our conversation for membership. We have our own chapter shirts. Some of them have different sayings and things on them. We use them to help strike up conversations. We talk about the certificates and things on walls with adults and otherwise. And again, it's our recruitment based piece is we talk about how much fun we have together as a group, and that it becomes a bigger party with more people involved. And that's been the ongoing piece. It's the boys that are driving it. We've done silly challenges to try to entice the guys to do stuff. It's funny because one of our former master counselors went through and said, why are we doing these challenges? This is the stuff they're supposed to do anyways. And we want membership recruitment to be fun. So the advisors have taken upon themselves to do stuff with the Beef Fizz Challenge. And people are like, wait, if I join, I get to watch him do this. Everything from the paintball piece. It was a fundraiser, but it became a talking point that people were, wait, if your adults are this crazy to do this for you, I want to be a part of this. So that's kind of what we've been doing.
Cool. Very, very cool.
If I may, again, going back to my experience, all the way back to when I was an active DMLA, the big selling point is how much fun it is to be a DMLA. When we got a core of a few people in high school we were all relatively new members because we were in Paul Revere chapter, not in that nameless chapter on the other side of town in those days. And we were always talking about among ourselves in school, not in class, obviously, but talking about how much fun we had at these different events and things. And people around us were listening. And I mean, we weren't telling them anything we weren't allowed to say or anything. But then when you decided one of them might be a good DMLA and you approached him, he was already 3/4 pre-sold, because all he'd heard, and not just from you, but from several people, was how much fun we were having. Fun is not a 4-letter word.
Yeah, and I really think, to Dad Eastman's point there, yes, the fun is really what sells it. So just have those quality events, make sure they're fun. Another good thing to teach our young men is we need to follow up with our prospects. If they bring them to something, follow up with them. I would say keep inviting them until they either join or tell you, hey, I'm certainly not interested, please stop inviting me. But invite the parents, invite them to everything, and you'll be surprised how DMLA will sell itself.
That's another thing that I need to mention is the follow-up. If they don't show interest at first, come back in 2 or 3 months and ask them again, and then ask them a third time a couple of months later. You don't want to hammer on them and lose their interest because you turn them off. But you'd be amazed how many you get on the second or third try that you didn't get at first. I was one of those. I was approached about it, never heard of DMLA, sounded good, even found out my parents approved of it, but I wasn't sold on it. But later on, when I found out that there were people I knew who were already DMLAs, although I'd never heard the word DMLA out of their mouth, I decided, hey, maybe this is worth a try. That second or third follow-up, the biggest problem I had as a chapter dad was my guys would approach their friends, and if the friend said no the first time, they'd never go back to them again.
Yeah, and we necessarily don't know why they're saying no. I mean, we have a lot of family members visit from out of town and things like that, and maybe they just can't make that particular event. So just make sure we keep inviting people as much as we can until they either join or tell us to stop bothering them. So anyone have anything else on this? If not, we can move on to the next slide.
I was just going to add, that's where, quality events and fun comes in. if all your chapter does is hold fundraisers and hold ritual practices, you're not going to have a chapter for very long. So quality events, make sure they're having fun. It'll grow itself pretty much.
Exactly.
Next
Can I
school.
jump in really quick?
Yes.
Thank you very much. What we do, one of the things that our chapter does at Venice Lodge, we actually clean the lodge for them every other week when we meet. It keeps it clean, organized. It gives the boys a sense of working together. And then anybody who shows up sees a well-organized lodge, and they can proudly say, yeah, we take care of it because we like where we're meeting. I don't know if it works everywhere. I don't know if that would be a thing that any other chapter could do, but it works very well for CAP. So I wanted to throw that out since we were talking about it.
Awesome. Absolutely.
And
Thank
also,
you.
on top of that, if you're working and you're having that PMCMSA planned term, you're going to have a well-rounded term. It's not just going to be fundraisers, ritual practice. You're going to have a good amount of activity.
Right. And we're going to hit some of those here with the next few slides. And these will
Yep.
be brief. But same thing, service project, cleaning up your lodge, clean up the community, reach out, find the need. Those are things that parents want to get their sons involved in. And again, prospect event, they see you out there cleaning up the road or, mowing the grass at the lodge or whatever. It's exposure to the community, and it shows them that you're part of the community. Fun events, obviously, you should have at least one a month. And like I said earlier, if you do a car wash, road cleanup, clean up the lodge, do something fun after. So yeah, they got to work for a couple hours, or they got to, day of devotion, got to go to church for a couple hours. Do something fun after. Go bowling. Go, get lunch as a chapter. Do something fun afterwards, and I think you'll have a much better turnout at some of those events. Whereas if you just come clean up the park and then go home, you're probably going to get a couple guys. But if you're doing something fun after, or if they know that there's something afterwards, I think that really helps too.
Absolutely.
Fundraising, same thing. Like I mentioned earlier, fundraising and prospective event as well. Find something that's for all people, not just in the Sonic family. Dad Jody mentioned this on the last training, but the Papa John's fundraiser, I think it's fantastic because it's not something that you can only sell to your lodge or your members, and that's a dead end road. This is something that they can sell at school or to family. Essentially, the way it works is Papa John's provide these cards. You sell them for $10. The chapter makes $8 off of every card they sell. The cost is only $2 per card, and you can use it up to 18 times. He mentioned it's like county by county, so maybe not every chapter can do it, depending on where they're located. But it looked like the major cities in Florida had a presence there on where you could use these cards. You can use it up to 18 times, and it gets you 50% off of any online order with Papa John. So, you use the card once or twice, it's paid for itself, and you still have 16 orders to get half off. So that's something that appeals to everybody, not just your chapter, not just your local Masonic family. And again, fundraising, if you sell it to your school or whatever, or kids at the school or whatever, hey, why are you selling these? Well, selling it for the chapter, and, invite them to an event or whatever. We're using this money to pay for Escape to Florida. Join the chapter, help us sell some of these, and you'll get to come with us. And, everything you do can be a prospect event as long as you do it, premierly.
Yeah. And about the
Glad
Papa
you brought
John's.
that up, Anthony.
Yeah,
Yeah.
about the Papa John's card. Yeah, that's just like the Central and South Florida area, but there are other companies out there that do this very similar thing. So just look what's in your area and, try to do the best you can with that. So,
Yeah.
All right. Participate in district and state events. If your chapter is not strong enough to hold their own events, the state has events built in, so you can at least attend those and have some travel and some fellowship with your brothers.
Yeah.
So the road trips are where the fun is had and memories are made.
Mhm.
When I was in DeMolay, I said it, Anthony caught you there. I countless installations. I can't tell you who was installed as master counselor, but I can tell you what we did before, what we did after the installation, and all those things. The fun, the food, all those things. That's really what DMLA is about. It's the memories. So get out, visit other chapters. I know with COVID, it was very difficult to do that. And now we still have some things going on, but just be smart about it. You know, the camaraderie and the fellowship is what DMLA is about. So everyone will benefit from getting out, participating in district and state events.
So a few years ago, Dale Chapman chapter, whenever they would travel anywhere, especially over to the west side of the state, they would go to Taco Bus. And that was their thing. You know, every time they came to Tampa, or they even came remotely close to Tampa, they went to Taco Bus. You know, and it's just something fun they did. It's something the boys enjoyed. You know, so do things like that. Have fun. Like the road trips, go into the events. You know, that's where you're gonna keep guys and keep them interested. Like Mike said, the installation, you know, or the initiation or whatever you're going to, you know, there are things we have to do, but the road trips and then hanging out, that's where the fun is had. So make sure you're not neglecting that. You know, any chapter that's an island to itself, you know, it's not going to do well, I think. Yep. And this is something that Jody mentioned earlier. You know, DMLA's run DMLA. And this is a quote from an old DMLA program. Members support what they help create. And I believe that to be true. You know, this is their organization. It's their chapter. You know, Jody said it's our job, you know, to tell them yes. Al said it's, you know, our job not to tell them anything. Let them make the decisions. And as long as it's within reason and not detrimental to anybody other chapter, you let them run the chapter. Members support what they help create. And I think that's a good philosophy on how to operate a chapter.
Yeah, if the young men are invested in the planning and it's what they want to do, it will be a success. And that this was the point of DMLA, and it's something that holds true today still.
Briefly, youth protection. I know it was touched on the last training, but I just want to touch it as well. The 2 deep coverage, make sure you have 2 advisors at all events. Avoid being one-on-one with any of the youth, whether it's DMLA, Squires, especially Sweethearts. You know, just avoid that. Do not put yourself in that position. You know, we have to protect the youth. We also have to protect ourselves. And then a reminder that we are mandatory reporters. So, you know, always keep your eyes and ears open, you know, at events, whether it's with an advisor that you've known for 10 years, or if it's with a new advisor or a new parent that's coming around. Just make sure that you're always aware of who's there, where everybody is. You know, keep your eyes and ears open for, you know, any signs of trouble or anything like that. You know, we've luckily haven't had any issues here in Florida in a very long time. I know that the you know, Boy Scouts, I think their youth protection, Andrew, I think theirs is a lot more stringent than ours. Is that correct? Andrew Wormington still on? Yeah, I think he stepped away.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Looks like he stepped away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think we have a good youth protection policy without going too overboard. But just remember that should be one of our primary focuses when you're dealing with the youth is protect them, protect yourselves. So,
Yeah, Jody.
anything on that?
Yeah, real quick, if you could just maybe talk about if there is an injury or some type of incident, kind of what who needs to know and things like that. If you could kind of cover that, please.
No, I'm glad that you brought that up, because it's always good to cover it, because youth protection is our #1 priority. It really depends on the situation. If it's something that you are learning about, and it's not something where somebody's life is in danger, call me or call your personal rep. That's phone call #1. If it's something that you're witnessing and you know it to be illegal, you call the authorities. You get the immediate issue resolved, or at least handled with the authorities, and then you start documenting, and you call me or you call the personal rep and you let us know. We have the executive staff. We're all basically at the same level, And, that's why we're all here. So, if I'm not available for whatever reason, I'm out of the country or something like that, I will always have a designee. You can always reach Mike or Anthony or Al or John Hillier or myself or your personal rep, whatever. We have that structure in place. They're all trained where if there's something going on, they will help you through the event, whatever. And then on top of that, then they will let us know we have to file the necessary reporting with DEMLA International and, that kind of thing. So obviously, number one is make sure that if it is an emergent situation, you call the authorities and you get the emergent situation taken care of. That's number one. But if it's something that you learn about, it's something, that you have a gut feeling about that maybe, I need to know about, call me. It is always better to over-report something than to under-report something, especially when you're dealing with a red flag or something that just does not feel right in your gut.
Yeah, and background checks only catch so much. Dad Warmington?
You asked about the scouting of the youth protection.
Right. I know theirs is very serious.
Well, it's because of stuff that went down.
Yeah.
I joined that other organization. I did not have the honor of being in DMLA as a youth. It's because of my scouting background and being involved as a Mason. I wanted to make sure that we had these programs in our area. That's why we had Sarasota and eventually CAP. But all of these major incidences that you're hearing about with the lawsuits took place before they had youth protection in place.
Right.
So I came in like 86, 87. Most of these cases are happening before the programs were initiated. By having this youth protection program in place, literally is a massive deterrent. And basically people know that we're looking, they know that we're aware, the youth are aware, parents are aware, and we can hopefully negate this ever happening with or having this kind of issues within our own organization here.
I believe with scouts, like a scout leader can't even have like a one-on-one text conversation with the youth or anything like that, correct? Yeah. So
No, we did within our chapter.
Yeah, so theirs is more stringent than ours, but you brought up a good point about the youth being aware, and ours should be aware too that, any of the young men, if they see anything or they feel uncomfortable around somebody, let them know that it's okay to come forward and say, hey, I don't feel comfortable around Dad so-and-so, and even if they can't pinpoint why, just say, hey, I don't feel comfortable around him. Make sure the youth are aware that they have a voice when it comes to those types of things. So
they say that.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
They say that 1 out of 3 child molestations, youth on youth.
Yeah.
Even beyond watching adults, we have to also be aware where our youth are with the other youth.
Exactly.
Correct. Absolutely.
Yep. Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Dan Warmington, and everyone for their discussion on this.
Yeah, thank you. All right. So these are the resources that we have. FLDMLA.org, resources, advisors. That's where all those forms that we talked about are. We have an advisor handbook that's there that goes into great detail, basically advisor by advisor with duties, responsibilities, additional resources, things like that. DMLA.org downloads also has advisor resources with other forms and things like that from the DI standpoint as well. So these are
have an R for those who are typing it in.
Yeah. Just know, our downloads. Yeah. So those are there. Just make sure that you're aware of those. I try to frequent those pages, every so often just to see what's changed, what's been updated, things like that. So. All right. And then I feel like this is not something that gets asked a whole lot, but, how can we help you guys, the average advisor, and what do you expect from us as well? I think that doesn't get asked either. What do you expect from the state staff, the executive staff, DMLA, international, what can we do to help and what do you expect from us?
So I know it's rhetorical, but you're also asking the regular advisors. I'm not saying regular, but I'm talking about the advisors who are not on the staff. What the expectations are? Well, the expectation for all of us is youth protection. Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, that we are willing and able to serve in our appointed capacities, and that we follow the guidelines, rules, and regulations of DEMA International, and then also of the jurisdiction. And it sounds like a lot, but it really becomes a labor of love, if you will. Just because, those of us who have been active for a while, and, I'm looking at the names on here, all of us have been around for a while. It's one of those things where we do it because we can, and it's a privilege to serve, and it's a privilege to be an advisor. And, it's not something that any of us on the state level take lightly. We appreciate your sacrifices. We appreciate the dedicated service that you guys perform. And we cannot do everything that we do without each of you. So, I mean, it's a reciprocal relationship, really.
You have any questions or any comments or anything?
I was just going to ask Dad Jody why he doesn't ask the young man sitting behind him what his expectations and needs of the state staff are. He's an active DEMA.
That's all you, sir.
That I am. And actually, as a technically current member of the state line, technically, and I agree with pretty much everything you guys are saying.
What is it you need?
Well, we definitely need more of the DEMAs running the meetings instead of the advisors running the show, because, I mean, that's what we're based off of.
I'd remind everybody, like I said at the last meeting, to go through Hi Dad and see how many times Frank Land thought the boys were going off the rails somewhere and they made a monkey's uncle out of him. That's what the whole title of the book, Hi Dad, is all about. And if you don't know the story behind it, that's motivation to read the book.
Christian,
Really
to your
terrible
point,
read.
Christian, to your point there, our philosophy, and we're trying to push this out through the state as a whole, is leadership is taught. We need to teach you guys how to take control and how to run the meetings. And, so there'll be mentorship, there'll be advising, and then, letting you guys take the reins. So that's really what we're working towards and want to have happen, because we know that whatever bar we set, you guys will hit. If we don't expect a lot out of you, we're not going to get much out of you, but we expect a whole lot out of you. We might not get all of it, but it'd be a whole lot more than nothing. So
Dad Jody or Dad Mike, one.
yes.
That presentation we had from DEMA International back when it was on something called VHS, called Taking Control. Can we get that on a DVD or something and make it available to the chapters to show in the chapters? I think
I'm checking right now, Dad Dale. I believe it is available. Give me 1 second. Just real quick, what is a VHS? Right.
something that was around before you were born.
I was just joking. I know what it is.
But
So, no.
I said the Taking Control video, after I saw it, I always thought that was precept number 0. It was so basic, it wasn't included in the 7, but it was Dad Land's, philosophy that it was the boys' organization to take control of. And that presentation was so good about why, to motivate them to stand up and take control.
So I just looked on eScribe. There are several of those old videos, and I'm looking and look a little deeper, and member support, what they helped create, are 2 of the videos under miscellaneous, but Taking Control is not one of them. And I thought it was. I do have a VHS to, what do you call it, MP4, whatever program. I can see if I can try and get it converted. But I agree with you. It's an excellent video. I do still have a lot of those old VHS tapes and the old Dad's Course and AID course and whatever materials available. And so that's one of the things we're trying to do is utilize some of this stuff so we're not reinventing the wheel.
Well, I have that tape if you need it, if you don't have it yourself. And I have created audio files of those tape recordings that were in the old AID program of the interview with Gorman McBride about the founding of DMLA and the speech by Dad Land. And if you don't have those available, I'll make them available to you, and you can put them up on the state website. How, Christian, have you ever heard Dad Land speak? Have you ever heard a recording of his?
I have not.
I think you would be impressed to listen to that speech, and I think you'd be impressed to listen to Dad McBride, Master Counselor #1, tell you how Mother Chapter was with Dad Land sitting there as chapter dad.
Right. I think we have a hand up for Dad Bedoli.
So our master counselor, or one of our past master counselors, was laughing last night that the only copy of Youth Protection that we have is on VHS. One of those things that Christian doesn't know.
Again, I was joking.
Yeah.
All the Youth Protection videos and everything, Dad Bedoli, are available on eScribe.
Okay. So is that the one that we would show the guys?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. We just had one of our new female advisors have problems with that last night.
Yeah, if you go to
Have problems with what last night? Is something I need to know?
No. She just said
Okay.
she was having problems getting the questions right and everything. And then I said, go back, try it again if you have issues. I don't remember the young lady's name at DI, but she always answers the phone, and she is a phenomenal source on.
Probably Bobby.
There we go. That's who it is.
Bobby's my buddy. I've toilet papered her desk before.
She's phenomenal at helping with all the questions.
Yes.
Anthony, did you have a point you wanted to make? Or?
Oh, I was just going to say that, yeah, on eScribe, if you log in under resources, videos, there's a bunch of drop downs for the youth protection videos, all 8 of them. There are videos that were made by the DMLA Congress that talk about term planning, membership 101, promoting DMLA in schools, memorization videos, things like that. There's also eScribe tutorials that show you how to do things in eScribe if you're not, technically savvy. There's a bunch of like videos and media on eScribe for use. So I encourage everybody to go just browse through that. It's under the resources tab, downloads, and then videos. There's a ton of stuff under there for reference and for use by everybody.
I have a question for Dad Blankenship and Mom Blankenship. I know that you had a good time last Friday night. April 9th, we're having another one. And one of our advisors has already secured $1,000 in donations from Lowe's.
Wow.
And we're catered by Sonny's.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah.
Awesome.
Dale Chapman's hosting bingo nights, and there's food, and it goes to the point of that Dad Anthony made about let's get other people other than our Masonic people involved.
Mhm.
And, they're buying bingo tickets, and everyone's having a meal, and everyone's talking and having a great time. It was just a really enjoyable event. So if you want more details on it, please reach out to Dad Bedoli. I'm sure he can give you the deets on how they set it up and what they do. And, potentially something you could do for your own chapters as well. I would highly recommend it. So
We started small, and now we're going into the big leagues.
exactly. So,
Well, so you guys are doing it right. That's part of what I tell everybody is that if you start giving it that little bit of extra, there's no reason why a regular fundraiser, whether it be bingo, whether it be a car wash, whether it be whatever, can make a grand or $2,000, you know, whatever at a time. And so all these chapters that are saying, oh, well, we don't have the funds, you're not thinking outside the box. You know, you start adding, you know, take something as simple as a car wash and you start adding to it. You know, you start taking out sponsorships for local businesses and things, and every car that gets washed gets a copy of the ad sheet, you know, whatever. So you're advertising to local businesses, to people who are coming in and doing that. You sell the ad sponsors for $100. You fill up a sheet, that's $1,000 right there. You haven't washed a car.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, little things like that can add so much to an event, and it seems like a mind-blowing idea to bring, you know, to add to something, but it's not. It's not, you know, a new concept. It's not anything that anyone hasn't tried, and it's just a matter of going out there and putting all the pieces together.
We sold
like-
raffle tickets for our 3 big ticket items, and we sold 168 raffle tickets, and the 3 big ticket items were all donated. So that $1,680 was pure profit.
Yeah. Well, like you said, Abadoli, you know, you start small, and then every time you do it, you take a look and, you know, you do a SWOT analysis. You know, all right, we did it. It was all right. You know, you constantly look at it and say, what can we do to make it better? What can we do to add that extra? And look where you're at now.
Yep.
You know, and if you tried to start with what you're doing in April, if that was your first event, you know, you're going to get overwhelmed. You're going to get, you know, discouraged. You start small, you build on that. You build on what worked, you change what didn't work. You know,
Our advisors went out, we bought lasagnas, we donated them.
exactly.
You know,
You know, I think the simple philosophy, you know, it's simple. You know, I think running a DMA chapter is simple. It's hard work, but it's simple. You have fun events, you make them quality, you know, you do what works, you reassess what doesn't work. It's a simple philosophy, but it is hard work.
And never hesitate to reach out for help. We're here to help. We can help you with these ideas. We can get you in touch with, you know, the John Badolis or whoever that's got a really fantastic program going on, and they'll be more than willing to help you as well too. So
I was going to mention too, when we talk about open houses, you know, DMA Florida, you know, we have a program that we can put on for open houses. Either myself, Dad Mike, Dad Jody, as long as we get the date on the calendar. You know, if you're doing an open house or something like that, you know, reach out for help. You're not here alone. You don't have to do it all yourself. You know, we can come and assist, and you know, we can speak to the local leaders and speak to the lodges and things like that to help.
That's true with any of these resources. We have, you know, brochure templates. We have, you know, all kinds of things. So if you need it, let us know. And if we don't have it, we'll make something happen to where we can fulfill your need. You know, I have downloads of PDFs and all that kind of thing. You know, I might send you a PDF and say, hey, you need brochures, go to your local, you know, printer company, whatever, and run off a couple hundred. It might cost some money, whatever, but if you give somebody a quality brochure, it'll give them some good information, and, you know, they'll have that and that'll make a good impression.
absolutely.
And never forget the little things. You talk about thinking outside the box. How many of y'all put on a car wash and you sell tickets to it in advance at all the lodges, the Shrine Club, the Shrine Temple, if there's one available? A couple of young men there in their coats and ties, you know, selling those tickets. And just like I bought things for Boy Scout jamborees when I was in the Navy and at NAS Jacksonville, and I wasn't coming back on 2 weeks later, you know, I was on a drill weekend. I wasn't coming back 2 weeks later to go to their jamboree, but I bought the ticket to it. You know, the Masons will, you know, buy the tickets, and most of them won't even bring the cars by to have them washed. The few that do, you've already got the money, but you don't have to rely on just what, you know, you actually make at the gate or through the raffle or whatever the other add-ons are. But people who think the only way to put on a car wash is to go out there with a sign, you know, dancing on the side of the street or playing old school, real old school. You go in advance, you know, you spend a month selling tickets at every kind of Masonic body. Have you been to the Grotto? Have you been to the Shrine Club? Have you been to the other lodges in the district that don't have chapters?
Masters and Wardens Association. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All
You
that.
can, yeah, like I said, you can share a lot of money. It's a way of making a donation without just being asked to fork over money.
Right.
Yeah.
And most Masons will do it in a heartbeat.
And worst comes to worst, they show up and you wash their car. So that's
Yeah,
worst
and
case
then-
scenario.
And then there's
So,
always the one that brings the gigantic motorhome.
yeah, that's fine too. So,
Back when the Masonic Home was having their regular board meetings, I always told the chapters, go to the Masonic Home, go to Pilgrimage Day. You've got people there from all over the state, and you can pre-sell them tickets. And I mean, sorry to Dad Holland, but people are not going to come back from Pensacola to get their car washed in Tampa, but they'll give you $10 to get out of their face. So, I mean, that's an easy $10 score.
perfect.
Ancode chapter actually did that, and they made $1,200. They washed 9 cars.
All right. Well, with that, if no one has anything else, I would like to personally thank all of you for what you do for DMLA and your members and yourselves. I know I will not speak for Dad Anthony and Dad Jody, but I'm pretty sure they feel the same way too. So we appreciate this. This is recorded. We will have it available to watch again if you want. But again, just really stress, if you need help, let us know. Please don't sit out there and, struggle and not know. So we're here to help, and also get other advisors from your chapter to watch the video, and we'll get this training out and try to make it better.
They'll be on
Exactly.
floridamla.org under the advisor pages. They'll have the links there for those.
Yep, and everyone should have got one for the first training, so we'll have the second one out here in the next day or two. So
Quickly too, Mike, do you want to hit, if you're doing an event, calendar at fldmla.com?
yeah, just real quick. Yeah, any events, send them to calendar@fldmla.com.
Mhm.
After the event, or even before the event, if you want, news at fldmla.com. We have the Meridian Sun. That
Mhm.
is a very, very valuable resource. We have over 1,000 people that can reach in the matter of minutes. So if you want to promote something, please, please, please let us know. Send me to who, what, when, where, and a photo. Doesn't have to be long and involved. Couple lines. We did a car wash, or we had this fundraising event, or we helped the Lions Club with whatever. Get a picture of the guys, and we can let the other chapters know what you're doing,
Yep.
and thereby hopefully spark someone else to maybe
Or-
take that idea and make it happen as well. So
Or, if you make a flyer, email the flyer, they can put it in, they can
Yes.
distribute it.
so like I
If
said,
the flyer made, that Mike and April will make you one for a small charge.
yes, yeah, it's $50 an hour, minimum 2 hours. So we'll make your flyers. But no, seriously, and there are deadlines for the Meridian Sun, so please try to adhere to those. We do publish it on the 1st and the 15th of every month. So the deadline for the 1st will be the 25th of the month prior, and the deadline for the 15th will be the 10th of that month. So please try to adhere to that. If you get it in after that, we will put it in the next edition. So don't say, oh, I missed it. Send it in. It'll just go in the next edition. So please keep that in mind as well. So, all right. And with that, I will thank you all again. Wish you a good night and a Merry Christmas and a happy holidays and all that. And we will see you out and about in our travels.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, whatever applies.
Whatever applies. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.